Hi everyone, this is Ashley with Marshflower Studio. In this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this super adorable little crab. I do usually do these with keychains, so of course this is a keychain size little crab. So I'm using my 4mm hook. I've got my little safety eyes. I have no idea what size those actually are. They're just very small. I've got my yarn needle, and I've had some questions about my yarn needle. You can buy these a lot of different places. If you ask for a darning needle, or search for a darning needle, you're going to be more likely to find these that have this little bit of a bend at the end to them. So if you want to give that a try, I really like it. I use my large hairpins as my stitch markers. I've done this crab so many times I don't need a stitch marker for him anymore. But I highly recommend those over your typical stitch markers. I just feel like they work a little bit better, and they're not as in the way when you have to go over the top of them as you're working. So I'm going to slide these out of the way for a few minutes. So I've got my little crabby here, and his body and his little legs are all worked as one piece, and then his front claws are worked separately and then sewn on. Okay, and you can do these in any color you'd like. You can do, different shades of orange, you can do blue, you can do red, whatever you feel like is the best color for your little crab. And I have two other little friends here. They don't have their claws yet, but I have these guys because I wanted to show you kind of eye placement. You can put them super close together. You can put them 1 stitch apart or 2 stitches apart. It's really just kind of whatever personality you want your crab to have. So there's not, a perfect place for them to go. But you can kind of make these, their own little dudes, and they're pretty fun. I have also done this crab in the fleece yarn and velvet yarn for that matter. And they come out, I don't have one made right now to show you how big they are, but they're more kind of like this size. So think like hamburger kind of crab. They're also super adorable. And I actually have made a tic-tac-toe board with those and with these, and I just did I did 6 of the orange crabs and then 6 of the blue crabs. So we had plenty of crabs for our tic-tac-toe, but using something like this as your tic-tac-toe marker instead of an X or an O is always kind of fun, especially if you live near the beach. Or just love crabs. So to get to the main attraction for our video, we are going to start with a magic circle and 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And we're going to have an increase row, so 6 increases for a total of 12 stitches for this round. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12. Okay. Next, we're going to do another increase row. We're going to have an increase and then a single crochet. So I'll have 18 stitches at the end of this row. So there's 1 and 2, there's 3, 4 and 5, and then 6, 7 and 8, and then 9, 10, 11, and then 12, 13, 14, and 15, 16, 17, and there's 18. All right, so our next row is going to be another increase row. So we'll do an increase and then 2 single crochets for a total of 24 for this row. So 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13 and 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. All right, so our next row is just going to be 24 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. All right, so this is the back of our little crab. In our next just one row. I have it written on 2 separate lines so I can keep up with it. We're going to do our little legs, okay? So this is the row where we add on our little legs. So I'm going to do front loop only all the way around. So our first front loop only is going to be a slip stitch. And then we're going to do a chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to skip the chain that's right next to our hook, and we're going to do 3 slip stitches back up that chain. So we'll have 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go to that next stitch over, remember front loop only, and do another slip stitch, and then another chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, we're going to go skip that first chain and do 3 slip stitches back towards the body. And then we'll do another slip stitch, and then another chain 4, and then 3 more slip stitches back towards the body. So those little legs are super easy to make. Okay, once we have our third leg finished here, we're going to do 9 slip stitches, still front loop only. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then we're going to do 3 more legs just like we did these. Okay, so I'm going to slip stitch and then chain 4, and then slip stitch 3 back towards the body. And then I'm going to slip stitch the next stitch on my crab back here and chain 4, and then 3 slip stitches back towards the body. And then I'll slip stitch into the next stitch from my crab back and do another chain 4. And this is our last leg. So we'll do 3 slip stitches, back up this chain, and then we're going to slip stitch, still front loop only, to the body. All right, so your 9 slip stitches kind of in between your legs is going to be the front face of your crab. If you want to go ahead and put your eyes on now, you can. I wait until I've kind of gotten him mostly closed up because I hate fighting with the backs of the eyes. So, up to you. So our next step is to do his belly. Okay, so belly, pretty easy. You're going to be working in the back loops of your crab here. So for your first couple of stitches here, it's going to be really easy. So we're going to work in these back loops. I'll hold that a little closer. I'm going to be working in these back loops to just 24 single crochets all the way around. When you get to your legs, you're going to be working in these back loops. Okay, so don't try to fight your way into a leg. We're going to work in this row of back loop, this kind of one row back. All right, so we're going to work in here, not out here. Okay, these are the easier ones to get to back here. So that's where we're going to do our 24 single crochets. All right, so back loop only. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to come to that kind of row underneath and do 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. You want to hold those legs out of the way, makes it a little bit easier. There's 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Okay. In our next row, we're going to be doing 12 decreases. Okay, and this is really going to pull that underneath side in. So right now it's kind of like, that's still pretty open. We're going to fix that. So for our very next stitch, it may seem like we need to come to this area, but we're actually going to just jump back out to that outside row out here, kind of right in front of that little leg. So we don't want to jump into the slip stitch where we attached the leg, but we're going to go to the stitch right next to it. All right. I'm just going to do a single crochet in that stitch to kind of close that gap that I kind of feel like always shows up right there. So because we kind of skipped that outside row, it makes it feel like it's a bigger jump. But so single crochet to kind of jump out to that edge, and then we're going to do 12 decreases to get us all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, and I leave my tail, my starter tail hanging out, because if you've watched my other videos, you know that I like to tie off with those if I can. So at this point, I'm going to pull my working loop out just a little bit. I'm going to get my eyes put in. So where you have this kind of flatter ridge, this is your face. You know, this side's a little bit more curved. That's your butt. All right. So when it comes down to it at the end of the day, if you want to put your eyes on the very top, you can stick them wherever you'd like, right? So I'm going to do one right here. Oh, goodness. Here we go. I'm going to put one right there. Just like that. And then we'll stick our backings on there. Make sure they stay in place. Sometimes these things are hard to get on, especially with the little eyes. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Kind of wish they would make a tool that would make this way easier. All right, so both of my safety eyes are secure. I would recommend, if you're doing the fleece or velvet yarn, you use some kind of extra backer to make sure that those don't fall out of your creations, we'll say, not just your crabs. So I'm going to put just a little bit of polyfill inside of my crab. If you want to use extra yarn, totally works too. And this is really just so your crab doesn't get laid completely flat. All right, we want to make sure that he's got enough in there just to kind of keep him looking a little bit poofy. He's not roadkill. All right, so our last step here is to do 6 decreases. All right, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I'm going to do my slip stitch here to kind of fasten off. You don't need a ton of tail for your fastening off because we're just going to kind of sew the bottom of this little hole together. So if you've never done this technique, we go through the front loops only, and we're going to go from the outside towards the center. From the outside towards the center. We'll go all the way around, making sure we hit every one of those stitches. Last one. There we go. So pull that tight, and then we'll tie our little square knot here. And I'm gonna weave or tuck, pull, thread, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna go right back down through that center that I just closed and pull that back out in another area. This one yarn tail has a knot in it. Where is it? There we go. So you have a nice clean finish down here. And then we'll trim off that extra. Good gracious. Okay. So there is the main part of our little crab. And the claws are also pretty simple. You will need to make 2 of them. We're going to have our magic circle. We're going to have 4 single crochets in our magic circle. In our next row, we're going to have 2 increases and then 2 single crochets. So we'll have a total of 6 single crochets for this round. So there's 1 and 2 in the same hole, 3 and 4 in the same hole, and then 5, 6. Okay. So for our next round, we're just going to have 6 single crochets, all in their own spot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. For our next row, we're going to have 4 single crochets and then a decrease. So 1, 2, whoops, 3, and 4, and then we're going to do a decrease. And I know this gets a little tough because it's small and you're still using a worsted weight yarn and a larger hook. All right, for our next row, we're going to have 2 decreases and then a single crochet. So there's 1 decrease, there's another decrease, and then, whoop, if you can manage, or you can go through the side or the post, if that makes it any easier. Okay, so I'm going to do that one. I'm going to chain 1 and turn. I'm going to do another single crochet in that same spot, that same stitch I just made, and then I'm going to chain 1 again to fasten off. And that little area that's kind of like 2 rows of single crochet, we're going to use that to sew our claws to our body. So let me get my yarn needle threaded here. And we just decide where we want to place them. Up here, kind of, in between those front legs on either side. We don't want to put them right underneath the eyes. I want to have them a little bit to the side. And then we'll just pop a few stitches right in those bottom 2 single crochets here. Do one more from this side. I'm going to pull my yarn tail kind of up through my claw so that the starter tail and my ending tail are close. And then of course I'm going to do my little square knot and then tuck the tails down into the crab. And if you would rather weave in your ends, by all means weave those suckers in. That's one part of the process that I just find really tedious. So if and when I can get away with not doing that, I'll take the knot option. All right, so we'll pull those through. This little guy's got one claw so far. So you'll repeat the instructions for that little claw, sew him on another one over here, and you'll have tons of these adorable little crabs in no time. So if you like the little crab, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. I have been overwhelmed with the number of people that have subscribed to see all the fun things that I'm making and sharing with you guys. So I really, really appreciate that. Comment any suggestions you have, anything you'd like to see me make in the future. I'd be happy to work on that. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.